Third foundation, responsibility, or more accurately, self-responsibility. We're in a constant battle for control. In this life, that's probably one of the things that I've noticed the most, is everybody I come across seems to be in a battle for control at some level or another. And I think for most of us, when you drill right down, that battle for control is often about safety, wanting to feel safe. And if we can control the world around us, we get a greater sense of safety. Which basically means we're in fear. So if we're doing something from a point of safety, it means that we have fear. Okay, that's a fine place to start. But what people choose to control is going to be dependent on the individual. So for a lot of us, we might try and control our environment. We might try to have an amazingly tidy home. We might choose to go out into the wilderness and experience nature. We might want to live in the inner city where there's no nature. We're going to make choices in life that help us to determine how much money we're likely to make, because that gives us more options to make choices that'll make us safer. And so it's this long list of wanting to control everything outside of us to make ourselves feel at peace inside. Well, at some point, you might work out that that's a lost cause. It's a battle you're never going to win. No matter how safe you make yourself, seeming to feel on the outside, you never fully can fill in the fear, the need for safety. It's never satiated. It's never enough. That feeling of fear should be dealt with from the inside. But there's things inside that a lot of us don't consider, where we act in ways to keep our inside safe. When we feel really big, strong emotions, hatred, sadness, even sometimes for some people, joy. When we feel those things, they might not make us feel safe. And so to control our inner world, we manipulate our outside world. But we don't have full control over what happens in the outside. The only place we have total control isn't even the right word, but total authority. The only place we have total authority is in our response to life. So by that logic, trying to control everything in the outside world is a war that you can never truly win. You might be one of the people that does really, really well at it, and you've got your world so organized and so in control that you feel slightly better. But at the heart of that is your need to control everything, to feel slightly better. When we're talking about responsibility, we're not talking about responsibility for the stuff that happens outside. We're talking responsibility for the choices that you make on the inside. So yeah, it's true to say we're not directly responsible for everything that happens in our life. Even if we try to control it, we can't be responsible for everything that happens in our life. We can set things up in amazing ways, but there are so many little elements that come in, so many different people we meet, that we can't be responsible for everything that happens. We just can't. We can be responsible for how we approach life from the inside out. So for who we show up as in any given moment, we can be responsible for that. Nobody else can. You can't be responsible for how I feel right now, because that would be stupid. Just like I can't feel responsible for how you feel right now. My responsibility in this point is to say what I believe, maybe get you to look at life from a different point of view and open up yourself to a different possibility. Your responsibility is to either take that on board or reject it in this given moment, in this scenario. Either's fine, there's no drama either way. So we have total responsibility, total and utter responsibility for how we decide to turn up in life, for who we decide to be in any given moment of life. That is our responsibility and nobody else's. Now, being self-responsible, it's an active thing. It's an action, it's a choice. If you go back to the previous video, which was about acceptance being an active thing that we do, self-responsibility is very much in that same go. We have to choose responsibility in the moment. It's very easy in our societies to shift off some of our responsibility onto others, onto governments, onto friends, onto social groups, onto key interest groups, onto family. I might have already said family, who knows. Every time we do that, we give away our responsibility, and every time we give away our self-responsibility, we actually dent our self-worth a little bit. It's only small when we do it little bit by little bit, but if we do it often enough, if we do it regularly, then we are diminishing the magnificence of who we can potentially be. I mean, we're already bloody magnificent even as we are, even as fucked up and as broken as we are as humans. We are fucking amazing, and some might even say perfect in our imperfection. But if you choose to have a preference to be as much of yourself as you can possibly be, you will want to, and you will choose to take all the responsibility you can for yourself, for how you are in life for yourself. Okay, you may have heard of a philosopher and psychologist, I think he also was, Alfred Adler. I believe he's Austrian. I know a little bit about him, but I'm not exactly an expert. He's in part of what he says is that humans are driven on a surface level, well, driven in a social sense by receiving approval from others. And when you look at how our society is organised, that tracks really, really well. We're often doing things to get approval from somebody else. But in so doing, we're diminishing who we are. So from an animalistic society point of view, I agree with Adler on that. We do define ourselves often by the approval that we get from others. That's how our societies are organised, and they have been for many, many generations beyond count. So there's certainly a part of that that's true. But I think in the more spiritual side of us, taking a part of Alison Anderson's thoughts, we're part animal, part spiritual. So part human animal, part human spirit. And we're a fusion of these things. And they don't always align in their thought processes and needs. In this particular case, the human animal part is seeking approval from others because we want to fit in society. We want more power, prestige, wealth, whatever it is that we as a person are after. Generally, it's a form of power that we're after, to get greater access to better things, and probably to feel safer as a general rule as well. So from a human spirit point of view, which is more aligned with what self-worth is about, trying to derive our self-worth from somebody else's opinion is a total false economy. It's never going to work. By definition, self-worth is a worth or a value that you have of yourself that's derived from within. there's no way somebody's external opinion is driving you from within. It'll make you feel good, but it's not self-worth, it's group worth. Totally different thing. I'll explain it to you with a key thought of Adler's. If you are not living your life for yourself, who is going to live it for you? Who gets to decide what your life is except you? So deriving your worth from somebody else, from some other group, from some particular way of thought or living, it's a false economy that does not actively change your opinion of yourself. It'll make you feel good, it'll get you feeling camaraderie, and the human animal side of you will enjoy that feeling. But the self-worth, the human spirit side of you, will not enjoy that feeling if your values and the values to which you are submitting, because it's a submission to something or somebody else, if they are not aligned with your values, you are destroying your self-worth moment by moment. And I can guarantee you it's not worth it. So in that space, getting clear about your values and understanding the values to which you are submitting yourself is really important. And to do that, we go back to the original two foundations: staying present and accepting what is in the moment. With those two, we can see where our actions are generating from, and we can see in real time if we're acting from a place of love of self or a place of need of acceptance and gratification. And they are two very different energies, two very different ways of living. It doesn't mean the results or the actions. I can take the same action with a different reason and get a very different self-worth result out of it. If I'm in a group that wants to do environmentally good things, but I don't like the way they go about it, you know, if I don't agree with some of their beliefs in how they go about doing it, I can do that action and I can feel good that I'm part of a community, but my self-worth is going to be hurt. If I go of my own accord and do similar actions but in a slightly different way that are more aligned with my values, they might get the same result. They each might get the same result, but one is going to make my self-worth increase, the other is going to have my self-worth decrease, just because my personal values are being met or not being met. It's that simple. There's a bit of bullshit in there, but the essence of it is self-responsibility is your responsibility. It's a key component. If you are not responsible for your life, nobody else is. If you give your responsibility to somebody else, you are giving your worth away. You are selling yourself short. Now, self-responsible doesn't mean that you have to do everything for yourself. It does not mean that. You still work in a community. You live in a community. You can express and explore yourself through community. But you are responsible for how you turn up, and the choices that you make when you're aligned with yourself will reflect your values. They'll reflect your beliefs. And if you do that more often than you don't, your self-belief will flourish. Till next time.